a schoolboy loves his bike, like an old Kentucky colonel loves his ride, ride. And I love that man until the day I die.
Hello out there in internet land. I think we're live. Welcome to the Walker McBride home here in Montclair, New Jersey. And welcome to our Friday night, our Jazz House Kids Friday night listening hang. Tonight, I am not your host. I'm just introducing the host. But before we get our party started this evening, as always, when we start our Friday night listening hang, I just want to kind of hip you to what's going on. As you know, Melissa started Jazz House Kids way back in 2002. And over those last 18 years, we are very proud to have become one of the most respected jazz education organizations in the whole United States. We use the power of jazz to help young people from ages 8 to 18 learn to blow their own horn, find their own voice, and take their place on the stage called life. And to give you a little sample of what we're talking about, see, I can tell you about all of the great things that Jazz House Kids have done through the years, but we're going to show you what we're talking about. We're going to let you experience a young lady who's been with us for many, many years. Her name is Ella Brown. I want you to take a listen to this.
Hi, my name is Ella Brown. I'm 16 and I go to Jazz House. I'm in the big band, the Chica Power program, and the Vocal Academy. I just want to thank Jazz House for keeping our music education going online. And I also want to thank them for keeping us connected during this time of social distancing. So here's a piece of a Grant Green solo that I've been transcribing while I've been home. I hope everybody stays safe and keeps washing their hands. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are.
Wasn't that something? We're so proud of Ella Brown, and we're very, very sure you enjoyed that as well. And the reason why that is so extra powerful is because her mother, Wendy, how you doing, Wendy? Wendy's a nurse, and she's been out there on the front lines. Wendy is doing such great work, and all of us are being hit very, very hard by this this horrible nightmare known as the coronavirus, COVID-19. So this is why Jazz House Kids and so many other great organizations all around the world are still trying to bring you some music. And so we want you to help Jazz House Kids. If you can, donate what you can. We have what we call a little tip jar. And in the words of the late, great Reverend Knight, no change, please. We need paper. We need paper. Or you can always go to Venmo at Jazz House Kids, or go to our website, jazzhouskids.org/donate. Well, please help us out if you can, and thank you for joining us. Now I'm going to step out of the way and let the boss take over tonight. It's going to be a wonderful night. Please welcome our host for the evening, Melissa Walker. Give it up for her, ladies and gentlemen. Hey.
Nothing like, hello everyone. Here we are in our, we are live from our TV room. We've been here a while. This is our third evening, so we're really kind of excited about it. you know, after two amazing shows, one on the trumpet last week. I hope you guys kind of saw that, and then this one the week before when we kicked it off with the late and immortal McCoy Tyner. I thought, you know, it's time to get the singers happening. So that's what we did, and we are going to bring to the table Cecile. I think she is going to appear. Everyone, there she is. Hello, hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you.
Trying to make sure that there's not too much of a glare.
Wonderful, wonderful. Cecile, where are you in the
I
world?
am in Miami, Florida, in my mother's sewing workshop room.
Yeah, tell us about that. That's kind of interesting. You got a little. What got you to? Is that where you are sheltering? Shall we say?
It is. It's where I'm sheltering.
Okay.
I live in New York, but pretty. I don't remember how long ago I decided to come down to New York, from New York to Miami to be with my parents and just have a little bit more space. And I'm actually isolating from them
Right.
because you can never be too safe. So not touching them, not even going in the house, and staying in the sewing room until quarantine 14 days are up.
I got it. I dig. It looks interesting up there, and kind of knowing the artist that you are, the multimedia artist. I mean, you know, the visual art and everything. You know, that looks like a place you would have a lot of fun in.
It's a lot of fun, although I haven't really taken advantage of it. But I don't know if you see behind me, there are boxes with, I think there's a lot of yarn here. There's fabrics. There's all kinds of fabrics behind me. This thing here is, I don't know what the name is, but it's something on which you can make lace.
Okay.
So you have a bunch of wooden sticks with strings on them, and then you just sort of braid them around pins. So my mom does all kinds of stuff in here, and I've taken over, and I feel a little guilty.
Okay. All right. So you get it naturally. You know.
I've been surrounded by it, I'd say. Yeah.
All right. Well, so for our listening audience, I mean, not only is she an incredible singer, but she's an amazing visual artist.
Oh,
and
thank you.
we've been watching her. She's been crocheting her pieces, and you know, just fantastic. Just and then let's bring in our thank you, and thank you for coming this evening. Let's bring in our second guest of the evening. Again, when you talk about creativity on, again, all fronts, this is a woman on stage, drama, acting, the funk, the swing. You know, we are talking about Dee Dee, and Dee Dee Bridgewater will be joining us this evening with Cecile McLorn Salvant. There you are, Dee Dee. Hello.
Hey, you.
Okay, Dee Dee, you're gonna keep your hand there all night?
No, I'm just looking at you right now.
Okay, but honey,
and I got my hand on the camera. So. You like that? You didn't like that?
I was thinking maybe we could try it a little differently, though. Oh,
hey, Cecile.
Hi, Dee Dee.
How you guys doing?
Happy to see you.
Happy to see you. Happy to be seen. We are all.
We are all, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a deep time, and these sessions have really just worked miracles. It brought, we were washing away the blues for a couple of hours. And so with that, say hello to our guests. We're going to get started. And, you know, tonight is all about the singer and the song.
Yep.
And their song.
Yes.
And what does it mean to be a singer? And what does it mean to make the song your own? And I think that's what's so amazing about jazz is that you can take a standard and have 10 singers sing that song, and they transport us to different places. And I think that's what we're going to explore. And to do that, there are three ladies that we all love. So Dee Dee, who's one of those ladies that we're going to introduce tonight and talk about?
Betty Carter.
Carter.
Betty Bebop.
Betty Bebop. Cecile, tell us.
Shirley Horn.
Shirley Horn, the one and only. And Carmen McRae, who this year would have celebrated her 100th birthday.
I know.
With that, you guys, there really is no other place to start. We decided. Well, first of all, let me just tell you as the audience, we thought we were going to do it one way and kind of come up with songs apart and then bring them together. And instead, a couple of days ago, we had a conversation and we just started throwing out songs, and Cecile threw out the first one. And before you know it, we decided, no, we don't want to do this apart. Like women, we're going to do it together.
Right.
You know, what's new with that? Here we go.
What's new? How is the world treating you? You haven't changed a bit. You're singing good.
Tell me,
I must admit.
what's new? How did that romance come through?
Well,
We haven't met since then.
yeah, I know.
Gee, it's a groove to see you again.
What's new? Probably I'm boring.
No, cause seeing you is grand and you were great to offer your hand. You know I understand.
I do. Excuse me for asking what's new.
Of course, you couldn't know, but I haven't changed. I still dig yourself. Yeah, yeah. What's new? Probably I'm boring you.
But seeing you is so grand. And you were swell to offer your hand.
Adieu. Pardon my asking what's new.
Of course.
You couldn't know I haven't changed. I still love you so.
I still love you so.
I love the way you sing, Betty Carter, Betty Carter.
I feel the same. I'm having fun.
I'm having fun too. Yeah, we are together.
Together now.
We are together.
Here we are together now.
They didn't think it could happen because they think we're crazy. We're crazy.
We're crazy.
Like a fire.
Da da dee do da 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 dee dee.
Should have been on together. Should both be
Oh, dee dee do dee dee do 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 dee dee. Dee do dee 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 dee.
What's new? What's new?
Do dee dee do dee 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 dee
What's
dee
new?
dee.
what's new.
That's two women having a good old
Good
time.
old time. Live at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco.
Music hall. Yep.
Let me bring up our next singer, and that is Shirley Horn. And let's hear her rendition of her first album when she came back.
You won't forget me. Though you may try. I'm part of memories. Too wonderful to die. And it will happen that now and then you'll fall to wondering if we shouldn't have tried again. You won't forget me. On nights like this, the moon will cast on you the shadow of your kiss. No matter where you are, with whom you are, you'll think of me. You won't forget me. Just wait and see. forget me. On nights like this, the moon will cast on you the shadow of my kiss. No matter where you are, with whom you are, you'll think of me. You won't forget me. Just wait and see.
The year was 1991. And of course, that was one of Miles's last, recordings as a sideman. So before we go into talking, I'm going to open up to you to tell us what you think a jazz singer is. We are going to bring up, we're just going to open it up right now. We're going to just open it up and tell us what the jazz singer is and what do you hear in those three women.
Is that for us?
Yeah, that is for you. What do you hear from three women?
Well, what I hear is completely different voices, vocal stylings, phrasing. Yeah. Just the way that they handle rhythm is completely different. Each one, from the other. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the beauty of the jazz singer, because we can interpret in our own ways the way that we individually hear music. Yeah. And I don't think, I was trying to, you don't hear as much variation with other styles of singing as you do with the jazz singer.
Yeah. Cecile?
I totally agree. I feel that there is this interesting contradiction in jazz, which is this rootedness in a tradition, and you can hear the past in them, but you also can hear the future, and they're sort of honoring the tradition that came before them and also rubbing up against it each in their own unique way. And also the three of them understand music in a very intimate way, in a way that it's a quite rare quality, even for a jazz singer. I think Shirley Horn is one of our greatest pianists, and Betty Carter is this incredible arranger and band leader and has this insane ear and understanding for music and rhythm. And Carmen also just this wonderful pianist and in deep understanding of music in a way that leaves me awestruck and like how I'm just I just admire them so much. I'm just I know that wasn't the question, but I just, you know, I'm thinking about it.
But I like the answer. But
I like the answer.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about jazz singers and what is a jazz singer, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm jealous of all jazz singers who play instruments.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to work doubly hard as a singer.
Yeah.
Because I don't play an instrument.
That's so fascinating to me because, you know, one of arguably our greatest, Ella, was not known for playing an instrument, right? And she was maddeningly great, you know, and obviously, I mean, you're one of our icons, Dee Dee. So, you know, to hear that from you
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But I do think that also they had, you know, Carmen had impeccable taste in her music. She knew how to pick music for herself. And I think what's so interesting, and I think for young singers, that's really challenging because you think, oh, I must sing like Ella, or I must be able to sing like, you know, Sarah, or I've got to be able to sing like Dee Dee or Cecile. But the magic of these three women, and I think truly of all real quintessential singers, is they knew the material for them. The song resonated with them.
That's really,
of course,
really astute.
You know, really important. You know, Carmen sang and had a wide palette of songs, you know, getting to spend a little time around her and with one of our friends or musician that we hope will come on later. You know, she had hundreds of songs that she would like to sing. Other singers were more narrow in what they wanted to deliver. But when you know who you are as an artist, you know, that's the path you walk down. So speaking of path, so one of the things that we're going to do this evening is we just kind of wanted to open it up with those duets, you know, at a time when Miles and of course, you know, Shirley and Miles got together decades before, and of course having the quintessential, you know, recording with Betty and Carmen, to open it up as also this collaborative process that also sometimes singers are not given the credit for being collaborative with other singers and other artists in the same way. Wanted to open it up. But when you talk about having your own voice, and now we're going to go and look at 3 songs by each of these singers, and we'll talk about them. And then we're going to open it up for our audience after these 3 selections, and we'll take some questions so you can get them in on the Q&A, and we'll open up the chat line. So the very first song is going to take us back to 1989, and we are going to the night show. All right. And we are going to, when it was Jay Leno and under Branford Marsalis and Gallo, are we ready? Yep. All righty. By the way, you guys, why don't you come and say hello, because he is the gentleman that is trying to get this happening for us. So Gallo, all of the shows, and thank you so much, Gallo. So he's going to bring on this. He's on with the Tonight Show. She's on singing, and let's hear what we feel is her quintessential, iconic piece.
I don't know where my man is. Where can he be? What is he doing? I've been looking and looking and looking all over. Hoping he'll be found. I'm on the loose. I don't like it. Take my advice, girls. If you find a man, hold on tight. Don't let it, don't let it, don't let it, don't let it. Hold on to him tight. Don't let him go.
Yes. Oh man, I remember. I mean, hats off to Branford for bringing her on the Tonight Show. I remember, like, that was momentous. We were just rooting for her. So you guys, I mean, also, you got Kenny Kirkland there, you got Bob Hurst, you got Tane. I mean, that is, you talk about a quintessential rhythm section to play that. So what do you think, Type? Why is that her quintessential song? We resoundingly came up with that one. Why did we select Type?
Well, I mean, because that is the song that she is most known for. I mean, it's an original composition, it's her arrangement, it's her song, it's her lyric, it's Betty.
Yeah.
It's just 100% Betty, and it shows her interest in playing around with time, and just, I mean, and the melodic structure as well. She went a bit atypical on the structuring of the song itself, and I think it capsulizes Betty Carter. 100%.
It epitomizes.
I mean,
totally, doesn't it?
It epitomizes her.
It epitomizes,
and
totally. Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
And I think you've got, she loved that dynamic, and she's a real physical singer, and the one with her band, Dee Dee, she was known like Blakey for bringing up young musicians. Trio after another were just, and those musicians, are on the scene today. Those are the Cats. And when they talk about, they don't always like her though, because she was hard, right? So, talk about the trio and what that was for her, and, that school like Blakey. Talk about that trio and just that, how important she was to the school of bringing musicians forward like Blakey did, just one after another in her trio.
I mean, I think that what Betty was trying to do was to give all of these musicians that passed through her some good solid groundwork. She knew that if they could withstand, 2-3 years of her, because Betty gave tough love, so she knew that they would be ready for whatever else was handed to them. And I've been in situations where I've been on panels with some of the musicians that played with her, and they all talk about the fear that she struck in them, but the reverence that they have for her. I'm part of the faculty of the Betty Carter Jazz Ahead program at the Kennedy Center since 3 years, and it's always been a faculty of musicians that have worked with Betty. And there is a love for that woman, and there is a respect for that woman, and there's a healthy dose of fear that they
For that woman. All in one. All in one. Yeah, and Dee Dee, what was your relationship? What was your relationship like? I know you knew her, and you of course spent a lot of time with her, and tell us a little bit about that. Is there a story? Do you have a story?
I was Betty's puppy dog.
So tell us
her
that.
Puppy dog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was her puppy dog. I followed her everywhere.
Cecile, just tell me about Betty Carter for you, and listening to that a little bit more.
I came to Betty Carter after I had checked out a bunch of other singers. She was, I started sort of really getting into jazz singing on my own when I was about 18. I listened to it at home with my mom, but we never really listened to Betty Carter. And I think I started checking out Betty's singing maybe 3-4 years after my first jazz gig. And I remember being a little off put by her and not liking her at all.
Okay.
And at all. And then I just remember that there was something about what she did that kept drawing me back in, and I would keep going back and back until it just flipped on me and I became completely obsessed and in love and wanting. I just thought it would be, what a joy it would be to just be able to sing exactly like her. I just got so obsessed with figuring out how she pronounced each word and how she approached certain moments in a song. And I remember a version of I Only Have Eyes for You that she did, and a version of Trolley Song, and all of these things. And it started to just overtake my entire head and I couldn't get enough. So it was, I personally love those experiences with music and art the most, where you start off not liking it, and actually it's just because you're not ready and you need to sort of walk towards it, and then it just grows on you to the point of obsession.
You know what, that we're not ready for it. Dee Dee, wonderful. Let me just say this, when I started singing and started performing, I had the pleasure of knowing a lot of the cats in her band at that time. And in fact, Clarence Penn became my musical director and the drummer in her band. And so I really spent a lot of time hanging out, and I was in Washington, D.C., and she would come for a week at Blues Alley, and I would be there every night because I really wanted to see what did tight sound like, and one night after another, I wanted to learn, like, what was the same, what changed, how did she do that? How did she have so much power and command on the stage and such confidence? She absolutely struck the fear in me. But then I was playing, and I was early in my singing, and I was in, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I was playing at the Edmonton Jazz Festival. And and I heard, and she was playing there as well. And I heard she was in the audience, and she was in the audience because some of her band, Clarence was with us, and she showed up, and I refused to come out of the back. There was no sitting room. She was on the main stage in all the big theaters, and here I was in some little club. Now, in pure Betty style, it's a crowded room. She had just played the theater. That's what it was. She had played the theater, and the cats came with her, and they had told her, oh, I'm going down to see Melissa, this singer that we know. And she comes, and she walks in this small restaurant, and I can, struts in, and I see her strutting slow, because not only did she sing way up tempo, she could sing some slow ballads like Shirley, and she strutted around the room, and then she sat right in front of the vocal mic, and I thought, no, she didn't. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, oh, I can't go out there. I can't. And, but Betty was fearless that way. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew that was going to be my teachable moment as I dragged my behind out there to try to sing my 2 or 3 songs. And, but I'll never forget that. I love that, because you look back on it and you know that that's what that was. Like, that was a teachable moment. And after she sat me down and she talked to me, and where she thought I needed to, what she thought I was doing okay, and where she thought I needed to work on. And the list on the ladder was much longer, and that was okay. But anyway, I just love her to pieces. And when she passed away, I just felt like this giant of this, she was just a force. She was a force. And she kept us honest.
Yeah.
She kept us honest in the music, and so now, you guys, we're going to turn the page a little.
Okay.
So, and we're going to listen to Carmen.
Okay.
And, we all know that, right? Carmen sang medium and up tempos only to get to the next ballad. I think, it was one lily pad after another, and every lily pad was a ballad. So we're going to listen to her sing.
That's a nice way to put it.
What we thought was her iconic. So you guys, Dee Dee, why did we select Round Midnight?
Because we were looking for that iconic song, and we all agreed that Carmen was kind of the most enigmatic, because Carmen's repertoire is so broad, and Carmen is for me the singer. And so there's so many songs that we could pick, but when she did that recording of Round Midnight, and when she did that album dedicated to Monk, I think that because she had such a deep understanding of Monk, and they were friends, it was a lot like Abby and Monk. I mean, they had these wonderful relationships with him. So I think that we can really hear her voice in this particular album in a particular way, because what I hear when I listen to this album is a lot of respect for the music. She really respected the music. So
we are going to play actually 2 pieces. We're going to hear.
Okay.
We are going to hear her again at the Jazz Casual, and I think what's so interesting, and thank you, Cecile, for bringing us to this.
Yes.
We decided to see her in her early years on this TV show, and then we're going to go see her 30 years later. Yes. And so let's check it out.
A pale and lonely moon lights the sky in the dark before the dawn. I sit here in my room, how I sigh for the day that's come and gone. Another lonely day passes by, and a new day's coming on. At midnight, tears I've shed today will pause, waiting until tomorrow. Dreams of what could be come close to me timidly. There's a brand new day inside round about midnight. Life's a game of chance, and you're one of the minor players. Look for what you love, the day to come, harbor sound. Let your eyes put out their light at that time, round about midnight. Every day's gonna bring some sadness. Every day's gonna bring some gladness. So take what you can of the glad times. Don't measure your pleasure in nickels and dimes. Look back on today, and you know when you've been unhappy. Fears dawn chased away just might at night have their day. Let your spirit stop the fight at that time, round about midnight. I'll think no more about you, day. For in a while, this old day will be yesterday. Alone at midnight here in my room, I sit here in the gloom and let my dreams take flight round about
So we are now.
What are those lyrics?
Well, see that? You know what? That's the thing. She was deep about her lyrics. That is Jon Hendricks lyrics. That is not the copywritten lyrics that go with the version we all know.
Oh.
She knew her lyric, and you can see she knew those lyrics, you know. And we are going, I hope we have online, because when we're finished this, right there in that playing piano is the great Norman Simmons. And I hope that we are going to, I hope that we're actually going to
see him
from him soon about that. But she knew that.
Oh.
But here's what's deep. She will tell us about that right now. And so there were 2 sets, and that whole recording that she did, Monk, Carmen Sings Monk, she wasn't, they didn't, that's why all this, the titles are different, because of copyright laws, and she knew those lyrics. And so let's hear her. Gala, let's play the second one. This is from Newport. I think it's about 1989, and she's playing at the Newport Jazz Festival. Let's give a round of applause for Newport Jazz Festival. Here's that, and here's to Mr. George Wein, the God of the Festival.
Thank you. The next song is the one I spoke to you about earlier, Around Midnight. Now, I have been doing this song for over 30 years, I guess, and the lyrics that I have been using belong to Jon Hendricks, which were great, are great, still are. But when I recorded this tune, I had to do the verse that was published with the song, which was written by Bernie Hannigan. So, in order not to hurt anybody's feelings, we are going to do both choruses for you. It begins to tell around midnight, round midnight. I do pretty well till after sundown. Supper time I'm feeling sad, but it really gets bad round midnight. Though you're not with me at midnight, I can hardly see with tears in my eyes. When my heart is still with you, and oh, midnight knows it too. When the quarrels we've had need mending, does it mean that our love is ending? Darling, I need you. Lately, I find you're out of my arms and I'm out of my mind. Let our dreams take wing round midnight, round midnight. Let the angels sing of your returning. Still my heart is still with you, and oh, midnight knows it too. A pale and lonely moon lights the sky in the dark before the dawn. I sit here in my room, how I sigh for the day that's come and gone. Another lonely day passes by, and a new day's coming on. At midnight, tears I've shed today will pause, waiting until tomorrow. Dreams of what could be come close to me timidly. There's a brand new day in sight. At that time, round midnight. Life's a game of chance, and you're one of the minor players. Look for what you love, the day to come, harbor some. Let your eyes put out their light.
We called that, we selected, when we were talking, we said that whole album, we were trying to find that quintessential song, and we ended up saying what? That entire album.
Yeah.
Bringing, we would not know as singers, Monk, but for her, but for her.
Every day's gonna bring.
She was a musician. Carmen was a musician, and so I used to go and hear her a lot, and she always, and now that I'm thinking about it, but she always integrated her voice and her intonation with the music that was being played. So she could bend, she would take a note, a regular note, and bend it to go into a phrase that's being played the way it was being played musically. She could do that.
You know, you can just tell we have a deep love for this woman. And, you know, we are going to open it up with that and take a few questions.
I would just love to say the only thing that I'd love to say is that timidly, the way she sang timidly,
yes,
will remain with me for a long time. That was deep. Just that word.
Oh, just that word.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna just have to go back.
Oh, we'll say, you know, absolutely. And you know, she, you know,
the acting. I mean, not even acting. The
honesty,
expressiveness.
Well, you know, Cecile,
you understand the words in a way that's just.
I mean, when I
but you know what,
like,
she came along in an era.
Cecile, you know,
Carmen, I'm sorry to speak over you both,
go
but
right ahead,
Carmen came along at an era when words were very important.
Yeah.
When diction was very important. When intonation was important. You know, and so that alone sets her apart.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then when you throw on top of it her musicianship, her ear, that it was, you know,
it's
so
wild.
But the thing I think with Carmen that did not allow her to be this huge, super well-known singer, you know, to be a kind of Ella, was because Carmen, I mean, Ella is just, you know, we can't, and there's nothing negative to say about Ella. Ella is an anomaly. Ella is.
No, Ella is, and
but I mean, there's Carmen, there's Sassy. You know, these were two women. There's Shirley. So we picked women. There's Betty. We picked women who were all were right under. You know, they were right under. But the thing I think with Carmen that made her particularly unique was that she just did what she believed in. She didn't do it. She would not do it.
No, absolutely.
I mean, I was privy to conversations between Carmen and Lena Horne. You know,
what was that?
Yeah, when Lena had, you know, her show on Broadway, and so I would go, and so then I was the youngster, and so I would go because it was like I'd done the Wiz. So it was in the late 70s, I think, and she would just say, "Come backstage, Lena," and so I'd go back, and there they'd be. I don't remember what their drink was, but they both have their glass. You know, and I was in my early 20s, but they would talk. Carmen would, first of all, she cursed like a sailor.
Oh, absolutely.
But she would sit with Lena and they would be going through all the things that they would not do.
Yes.
Oh, is that right?
To preserve, yes.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
love
They
that.
stood their
Yes,
ground.
they stood their ground. Amen to that.
And the things that they would not do.
Yeah. You know, when I think of the women we are talking about, you know, to me, Shirley is the vocal of Miles. Like when I think of Shirley, I think of Miles, about the space. It's as much about what she says as what she says. When I think of Carmen, I am hearing Monk. Even when she's not singing Monk. When Carmen sings, you know who that woman is. In the first note, you know it. And just like you said, like that one word that's it. It's just that one word. And as a singer, to be able to get that kind of feeling, and you know, I feel that when I hear you sing, Cecile, that there are words, you are just,
thank you.
You know, you are in the word, the syllables.
You bad, Cecile.
Look, babe, getting in now. But when I hear Betty, it's Freddie Hubbard. It's
Oh,
all
wow, interesting.
Interesting.
it's all like,
Interesting.
you know, it's that strut, it's that, you know, that confidence I love. And, you know, his songs could be, you know, beautiful and powerful and all. So when I think of them, that's who my instrumental, you know, side of them would be. You know, I think of Betty, and I think of, you know, Betty.
I saw Betty cuss.
Big, you really might want to join the party, honey. Anyway, I'm sorry, you guys.
He just wants to talk from the back.
What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this. Here, say hi, babe.
No,
Say hello.
I'm just
Can
checking.
you see him?
How y'all doing?
Get your drink. So we are going to open this up because we have chatted. There is, are we going to talk? You know, we are going to what class are we going to go to, please? And we're going to open it up right now. Is there, you know, is there any relationship between the gospel runs and the scatting technique and jazz improv? Where's the church in this?
Is this a question from the panel?
Yes, this is a question from, and this is from Cat Rivers.
Wow. I surely am probably the worst person to answer this, but I will say that yes, because jazz is a folkloric Black American music with roots in other forms of Black American music, and there's this interesting thing with jazz and gospel, and I will just say this as someone who knows very little, that there is this communication between the forms. Jazz has been deeply influenced by gospel, and gospel in turn deeply influenced by jazz, and there's this very interesting kind of dance that they do together. But I will stop speaking now.
And let me give you another question as well. You know, we're gonna answer some questions about the singers, because we certainly are getting a few questions. So Lynn, I'm gonna get back to you and give you another one. Let me right here is oh well, you know, if we had the song that would say, do you think that it's possible to pick one favorite, or what does it mean to be the greatest? And is that the question is it possible to say there's one of the best singers, or
as opposed to having several?
Is there such
is a question like, is it possible to have like the greatest?
That's right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think
because you've got so many different styles of singing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the personalities of the individuals. There's just so much that I think that goes into it. Greatest, I think probably without question, one of our greatest is Ella. Greatest, another one of our greatest is Billy.
Yeah.
Greatest, I mean, you know, so then we can start and then we just keep going, because everyone is so different from the other person.
Yeah. How do you create a hierarchy with, you know, 20 different, completely different people and say this is better? That it's impossible. For my part, I have phases. So there are phases where I say, oh, Sarah Vaughan is the absolute greatest. No one was better than her. And then I'll say, Louis Armstrong was the absolute greatest. No one was better than. And I can't stay on one long enough, because there are so many that offer so many different things.
You know, can I just also bring you? Do you know what advice can you give jazz singers who lead their bands and want to keep their bands working? How do you in this time, right? In this time, what
we'd love, can I say we'd love to know?
None of us know this time. In the world as we knew it, we could say, the only way to keep a band together is to have gigs. It's as simple as that. So it's
well, my advice is to take all gigs, is sing. Just take
when you're beginning.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sing at the church.
Absolutely.
Sing, in the
every
restaurant.
situation.
Sing just sing and sing and sing.
Yep.
Because it is about getting to know who you are.
Yeah.
If you don't keep doing it, I went out with Ray Brown. That was something that he was saying when, and Dee Dee, I saw you on the stage and in Lyon when we were playing, and that was one of his comments. You just have to keep doing it and keep doing it. And so there is no gig, other than an unsafe one, that you shouldn't be able to sing, and there are stories about people in the audience with Billy, and there were only 4 people, and they would have thought that they were at Carnegie Hall, and it was there's no such thing. It's not like, well, we don't have a big audience here, I'll only bring 66 keys today and not 88. You just keep singing and you do your best. That would be kind of my advice.
That goes. I always say to people, and then I practice it myself. It does not matter how many people you have in an audience. What matters is the connection that you make with those people that are in the audience. And the respect that you give to those people that took the time to come and hear you perform in whatever
one of my favorite comedians, this has nothing to do with singing, but everything to do with performing. Her name is Maria Bamford. She will post on Twitter. She'll say, "Does anybody want to hear my set? And I'll get you a donut and a coffee." And she meets one person at a coffee place and does her entire set for one person. And she's a pretty successful comedian with like Netflix specials and things like that. But she is able to always come back to this just one-on-one thing. And I'm always inspired by that, and always inspired by the idea of creating these opportunities for yourself, even when they might not necessarily be there,
There is a question that I would, Jana has asked a really wonderful question. I want to know this from you ladies. What is the process? What is your process of learning new compositions? Take notes now? Yeah. All right. Okay, it ain't easy. Cecile, I'm surprised by that. She's just like, okay. Cecile, what is your process of learning new compositions?
New compositions being new original music by a person that just wrote it and there's no recording, or just in general?
It's the standard. What is your process of learning?
Oh, that's all a lot of listening to the standard over and over again. I sort of geek out and will listen to every single version I can get my hands on of it, which will sometimes lead me down a weird rabbit hole of listening to the albums from all the versions and then figuring out who the composer is and listening to other compositions by the same composer. And also there's, if I'm being good, which is rare, but if I'm being a good person, I'll sit at the piano and try to learn rudimentary changes to it and how to play the melody. And but that's really if I'm being good, and I'm not all the time.
I know we have a lot of singers watching, so I'm going to ask the question that kind of the sister question to that. Are you listening to instrumental and vocal? Or primarily?
Me?
Yes, you dear.
Oh. I am listening to instrumental, I'm listening to vocal, I'm listening to audiobooks, I'm listening to comedians, I'm listening to poetry, I'm listening to whatever I can listen to, whatever can go into my ears. Electronic music, it doesn't matter. I even listen to stuff I don't like.
Got you. Dee Dee, can you answer that question? What do you know, how do you, and Dee Dee, I have wondered this a lot. I have watched you have such a wide body of music that you've done.
Yes.
The Ella songbook, the Horace Silver, the songbook, you know, some really serious arrangements, you know, just, and then your new project, you know.
Every project is wildly different.
Exactly. What, like, you know, if you take Shirley, we are going down a road.
Yeah.
We take Dee Dee, we going down lots of roads. So you know, I mean, that, right? I mean, that's beautiful. Dee Dee, what's your process?
It really depends on the music that I'm learning. If it's an original composition with some original lyrics, then I don't have any other reference than the material that I've been sent to learn something. So then I just listen to it over and over. What I do with the lyric is, when I get a lyric, I try to find the story in the lyric that I've been given. And then I try and find somewhere in my lifeline something that will take me to the emotions of what that story is about, so that I can start to give that story some life and personalize it so it becomes something that I can relate to. And then my feeling is, after all these years, is if I can relate to it, and then I can project it in a way that an audience will be able to relate to it. So then the story becomes a kind of vignette. And my shows, what I try to do, if it's a good day, and it's usually in a concert setting that you have more control, because an audience has to kind of be more controlled and contained. I'm able to create these stories with each song that I do. If it's a club setting, I try to, but then there's all of that live interaction. So when you're in a club setting, for me, the material takes on a totally different kind of relevance. But
do you write down lyrics?
Listen, when I want to learn a lyric, when I want to be sure, after I've done it over and over, okay, I'm having a problem with a Joni Mitchell song that I just desperately want to do. And so I have, from time to time, gone in and written down the lyrics that I remember. And then I will consult, and then I'll write down the lyrics that I don't remember. I'm having a great deal of difficulty, though, committing the entirety of the song to memory. It's very interesting.
You know, that absolutely. We're going to go and listen to a piece we're bringing up right now of Shirley Horn, because one of the other things that we talked about and wanted to share with our friends listening was that there were these iconic pieces, but then there were these pieces that you were surprised at. When we said Shirley Horn, it's a path. People think of that beautiful, those ballads. And Cecile, you brought us this piece. So let's check this out. And then what we'll do is the next one, we're gonna ask some people to wave their hand in a minute. We're gonna bring in a couple of folks who are patiently waiting to kind of chat. So let's hear this. Cecile, this was something that you brought to table for us from 1965. This is Shirley Horn.
Sunday, big city's taking a nap. Slow down, it's Sunday, life's a ball, let it fall right in your lap. If you've got troubles, just take them out for a walk. just like bubbles on the fun of a Sunday in New York. You can spend time without spending a dime, watching people watch people pass. Later you pause and in one of the stores, there's that face and it's yours in the glass. Two hearts stop beating, you're both too breathless to speak. Love smiles her greeting, then the dream that has seen you through the week comes true on Sunday in New York. You can spend time without spending a dime, watching people watch people pass. Later you pause and in one of the stores, there's that face and it's yours in the glass. Two hearts stop beating, you're both too breathless to speak. Love smiles her greeting, then the dream that has seen you through the week comes true on Sunday in New York.
Oh, I love the shortness of the tune, and I love how they ended that. I love that.
So nice.
I love that.
That was a minute and 43.
To the point.
You know, and it was swinging. I mean, it was
swinging.
You know,
for a second, I heard Peggy Lee.
Ooh.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I need to research that.
So we are going to open up in a moment, Gal. We are going to, so that was one of the songs. Cecile, you picked that because it was just upstairs.
I wanted to hear a song where we could really hear Shirley swinging, and it just feels great, and she's got this great rhythmic approach, and it just feels amazing. And I mean, that's a song I always go back to when I want to smile and listen to Shirley, always.
So let's flip it. But let's try another one, I think, that is kind of surprising. We're going to listen to something called Amazon Farewell, and we're going to bring up a live version of this, and the composer of this I adore. So...
So you see that mister, it's time to stall. I need room to walk. Is there something wrong with your plan? Take a look at this land. Across this line you leave us with nothing but a life of hunger and pain you did. And from what we can tell of your customs, mister, forgive me for saying you got a lot to learn before you can say we got to live. You'll learn before you can say we got la 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 la.
we really also really like that one. As you know, what really struck you guys about that? You know the singer from that, Dejavon. I mean, when he came up, Dejavon, when he came up with that, I think it was called Puzzle of Hearts, and in about 1989, he did an amazing album. The first time I heard that. Who brought that one to our attention?
Our young one.
Still, wasn't that you, dear young one?
That was
I might have, yeah. That we were thinking about a few things, and then I just remembered this. It's a song that I just, this video.
So again,
we were watching it yesterday with Sullivan Fortner, watching this one. So good.
Totally different than Carmen, but the same command over the lyric, right? The same command over the song, knowing exactly where she is in any moment in time.
But I think Betty had a different thing. Betty was as concerned about the melody as she was about the story that she was telling. And sometimes I felt like with Betty, the lyric was secondary to the actual music that she was singing. Mm-hmm. And it was about, because she went through a period where it was really about the sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then how she would stretch out the sound.
Well, she did a whole record called Ain't About the Melody.
You know?
Well, can you talk about her as oh, Babe's on that. Can you talk about her as a band leader? I mean, look how physical she is. And, you know, how do you, that was one of the questions. If you could just talk about her, I think. Yeah, absolutely. Just as a band leader. You know, Charlie Stickler asked about, you know, her style and her cues. Like, I mean, I kind of feel like I'm watching James Brown. You know, she's got cues. She's, you know,
she's rehearsed her band and she's given them all of these cues and everything that she's going to do in the live performance. So what we see is after everything has been mapped out.
Yeah.
But the thing that's great with Betty and that I took from Betty is how she can control the situation no matter what the musical situation is, how she can bring it back to where she wants it to go.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And that was something that I thought was extraordinary with her. And I think, and maybe Christian, I mean, but I don't know how many gigs he did with Betty, but I know from musicians that I knew that worked with Betty, they watched her body language.
Yeah.
They could get a lot about where to go from her body language.
That's right. Babe, is that, you know, can you speak about that? Is that true?
Yes.
What was, you know, tell us what Betty as the band leader, I mean, as a musician, because I think that's a really great question that they're asking.
Dee Dee, you know, I actually think the few times I got to play with Betty, I approach it the same way I did with you. I watch you. You know, I know we rehearse, we practice the arrangement, but once we get on stage, my eyes are on you. I watch your hands, I watch your body, whatever you're trying to communicate to the band that you might not be able to do verbally or vocally because you're in the middle of the lyric. I'm watching your hands, I watch your body, I'm looking for cues, I'm paying attention. And Betty was like that all the time. I mean,
Betty was, so physical.
The very first time I actually got to play with her, she actually sat in. I was doing a gig with Mark Whitfield. Mark Whitfield and Troy Davis was playing drums, and Betty came and sat in, and Troy Davis, he kept looking up. All he would say was, "Watch Betty, just watch Betty."
Yeah,
just watch her, you know, and that was it.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the relationship between the band members and the leader, because I think when it's an instrumentalist, you guys watch each other in a way that is very, very specific. For me, when I come and I watch just like a trio of musicians playing together, the dynamic changes when you have the singer because you're introducing this lyric and so the song takes on a whole other thing. But the singers that I have found that the ones that I respect are singers that musicians respect. You all respect the singers because you have a feeling that the singer, you understand that the singer knows what they're trying to put forth. And so, and if it's a good singer, if they have a good voice, then you don't have a problem with following.
Not at all.
Just by the physicality of what the singer is doing in the moment when she's performing. And some singers will allow that to exist because that's like opening up the space so that everyone can be in that same space. Some singers are very close and you cannot read them at all.
Cecile, I remember when my trio played the Blue Note a couple of years ago, and you came and sat in with us. I remember we did, you called it real slow blues. I can't remember what we did, but you absolutely, you destroyed us, you destroyed the audience, and it was a joy.
I thought you were going to say I was one of those cold.
No.
He's like, and a good example is Cecile, who just has no, but I will say thank you for saying that. But it is interesting because the physicality thing is always something that I struggle with. I'm scared to show with my body or my hands or something like this is, so I just kind of wait and see what's going on. And so over the years.
No, baby. Here's what happens with you. You don't do it. You don't have to. Sorry.
Let me get in this party.
You don't have to do it physically because you are doing a thing verbally, vocally, a sound. Your thing is all about how you can take these lyrics and create these sounds so that if someone is really paying close attention to you, and this is why I think you and Sullivan are so wonderful together, they know where to go because they hear it in your voice and how you are approaching the sound of a word. You know what I'm saying? And how you want to, but I've been your fan since the first time I saw you. So, you're a storyteller.
You know what?
And that is something unique to be able to tell a story and to be able to tell a story at your young age. You are a storyteller. And it is special and people, musicians who respect the voice will be all up in your grill. Am I telling the truth? I mean, I think I'm telling the truth.
So
thank you.
Well,
why are you so flip? Huh?
So I am going to bring someone else into this conversation if I can, because
this is our surprise.
Well, this is we watched him on one of the songs already, and he's on the microphone on our phone, and we are going to introduce, and let me set it up though. This gentleman worked with many of the greatest singers of our time. 10 years with Betty Carter, 13 years with Carmen McRae, countless, Joe Williams for 20, an amazing pianist, arranger, composer. I've sung a number of his songs. So I want him to talk to us a little bit about Carmen, because just like you were talking about Cecile and how they just engulf that, I want him to talk to us a little bit about Carmen, because we're going to go back to the Jazz Casual. I believe that's where we're going, Gallo, and we're going to play the song he's on. So Norman, are you there? You think you are? Well, let's see if you can hear. In our audience, can you hear him? Okay.
I hear Daisy.
I thought that was Norman for a minute, Dee Dee. Okay, Norman, you're not barking, are you? Okay, good.
That's Daisy.
Okay, that was Daisy's. Norman, could you tell us, we're going to play next a piece of yours from the Jazz Casual, and we're going to play Del Sasor, which is just that beautiful ballad that she that she loved that I think the bass player for Cannonball Adderley's band composed. So will you tell us a little bit about that jazz casual date?
Yeah, I know. That was just about that. Because that evidently was not our regular group.
That was not the regular group?
Who else was on? Yeah, because he didn't work with us. Yeah. It was our group. It was his song, yeah. And that wasn't a ballad either. That was...
that's up-tempo.
That is absolutely. Well, tell us about Carmen, as a singer. As this... Go right ahead.
Well, one thing about Carmen in particular is that her career was very personal to her.
Her career was personal to her. Can you hear her, you guys?
No.
You hear him?
I mean, yeah, not enough.
A lot of us from that particular day, we grew up in a time of matriarchy when the black women were really very strong because the black men were very emasculated.
Yeah. So black women weren't as strong, and he was saying at a time when black men were very prominent. She grew up in that time. Emasculated. Sorry.
So the women were very strong,
I got it wrong here. Go ahead, Norman. So.
And also that one thing that with Carmen in particular, from what I know about, because I was with her for 10 years, and the book that I wrote for Love of Carmen, because she taught me how to play the piano. She taught me accompaniment, and she adopted me. And that was the other thing. So there was a lot of experiences that I had with her, which were very close, and she just shared with me everything she had.
She did. So was she giving? Would you say, you've talked about that a lot with me, of just how giving she was as a teacher and how much you learned from her.
Well, she was, you have to realize in those particular days, all of the singers were dealing with, everybody else were men. And that put a lot of kind of tension between things. But Carmen was a piano player also. That was the main thing. I had worked with other singers, but with Carmen, she was able to explain to me what accompaniment was about and demonstrate it.
Yeah.
And not only that, I was a person that really, when I worked with someone, I was dedicated to them. And people can pick that up. They can pick up when they have people that sort of office, They're afraid to say something to the musicians because they figure that the musicians already know more than they know or what it is. And there's an attitude there that sort of blocks the giving.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's really why I melded well with the women that I work for, because that's the way I work. If I'm working for them, then it's about them, and there's no attitude about me.
Right.
Carmen, therefore, she shared a lot of her life and stuff with me, and so her attitude, she talked about her relationship with agents and different people like that. She would, so she adopted me, and she was able to sit down and explain to me what a company was about. And then the fact that when we performed, at the end, she would sit down and play the piano. And I would be able to stand back and let her see her demonstrate it.
Yeah.
And so that was very important. The other thing is that she also, in the meanwhile, trusted me, where she built me as a leader. I'll tell you one story when it happened. We had Victor Stroh, the bass player, was with me and with Carmen. And Carmen liked to play, because Victor had a lot of charisma and stuff like that. But he hung with Carmen until his musicianship sort of decayed a little bit. But Carmen wanted the music, the feeling of the music. That's what she was about, feeling.
Yeah, she was.
Therefore, it wasn't about, she figured if we played the music, if she could feel that, it wasn't about reading the music. You know, when we put a group together, she always wanted to hear them, go to hear them play, to see how they played, not how we rehearsed the music.
Got it.
So then when we got Frankie Severino, Frankie couldn't read either, but she loved Frankie because he was such a sweetheart. So she brought him back to New York, and she had to kind of take Frankie along, and that kept her from putting her foot on the rest of us because she couldn't put her foot on Frankie, you know.
So Norman, we're gonna go and play this song right now. We're gonna keep you on the phone so you can hear yourself from, I think it was about 65. And so thank you, Norman. We love you, and we're gonna let you hear this right now. We're gonna play this. I think Gala's gonna play this piece for us, and it is "If You Never Fall in Love." This is a great jazz casual. If you haven't checked it out on YouTube, it's got an amazing number of artists with some really terrific early footage. And, you know, she certainly was a beautiful, beautiful lady.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful. All right, let's hear it, Gala.
Well, how was that? Did you enjoy doing that? Did you enjoy the song?
Did I enjoy it?
Did you enjoy it? Playing it? You sounded beautiful. Speak up. Don't be afraid. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, what are we going to do now?
If You Never Fall in Love with Me.
Oh, yes, I want to tell you about this song. This is a really cute up-tempo tune that was written by Sam Jones, who is the bass player with Cannonball Adderley's Quintet. It was recorded by Cannonball, and I guess quite a few other musicians. But what I'd like to say is that instrumentally, it's called Del Sasser, and we have lyrics to it, and of course the title, I don't even know what Del Sasser, Ralph, what is Del Sasser? Very good. You answered that beautifully. I don't even know what it means, but I'll tell you that it has a lyric that I know what it means. It's called "If You Never Fall in Love with Me." Okay? I loved you so since that first day. The angels let you leave and come my way. Don't you see what a lost lady I'm liable to be if you never fall in love with me? I'm not the girl I was before, 'cause now you own my heart forevermore. I'll be a sail or adrift on an uncharted sea if you never fall in love with me. If you come through, say that you're mine. I'll make your life one great big Valentine. We'll build a new love world for two, and we'll find joys no lovers ever knew. I wanna stay here by your side and keep your arms forever occupied. Can't you imagine how empty my future would be if you never fell in love with me? If you come through, say that you're mine. I'll make your life one great big Valentine. We'll build a new love world for two, and we'll find joys no lovers ever knew. I said I wanna stay here by your side and keep your arms forever occupied. Don't you see what a lost lady I'm liable to be tragedy would turn into a rhapsody. With all my hopes set it in, my world would tumble to ruin. And yet, I see no reason we should let they change this dream of romance when all it needs is a chance. Can't you see what a lost lady I'm liable to be? If you never fell in love with, I'd live a life of ecstasy. If you ever fell in love with me, can't you imagine how empty my future would be if you never fell in love with me?
You know, she didn't scat a lot, but she could scat. You know, listen, that is something we did not talk about in today. I guess we'll have to take it for another episode. But the scat, she could scat, and she chose her spots. We did have a question about scat, and I'm going to open up the line. I'm going to ask if anybody would like to wave their hand. But were you always scatting, Dee Dee, from the beginning, or?
I always thought that scatting was part of being a jazz singer. Yeah. And I always could scat. And I can only today say that I think it's because my mother played a lot of Ella when I was in the womb and when I was a baby. So it just was always something that I thought we were supposed to do. Let me point a finger. That one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, because we've had conversations, have we not, Cecile?
Yes, we have. We have.
Because Cecile can scat her buns off. Just don't say just. But because here's what she told me is that wasn't. I'm paraphrasing, but it's that was not her focus. She did not want to do that because that was not her focus, and I had to shut up.
Well, I
had to shut up because I have to respect that. But look what it's done. I mean, so scatting, I think, used to be a way that we were able to differentiate between the pure jazz singer and a singer. Okay, you had to be able to scat. But our great jazz singers are also great jazz singers because of the way they sing.
Well, I think the way they improvise. If you listen to Billy, you know, improvise on that song and how she.
But this is what I'm saying. But she's absolutely. But she's doing it vocally with the lyric.
Right.
And so she's doing. And we all know what musicians think about Billy. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, I want to open it up, but I do want to say that what is interesting about Carmen is she really could scat. And she that harmony.
Look at Sarah.
She used Sarah scattered a lot, but Carmen used it very, very discriminately. Listen, I'm gonna open it because I see some of our singers and some of our students at Jazz House Kids. I see Ella Brown, who we heard earlier. I see Andrew. I see Emily, Nathan Farrell. How you doing? Is Columbia? You still in school? Emily Springer. So I want to open it up right now. I see some waves. If you don't mind, I'm going to open it up let me open it for, wait a minute, Emily Erdl. Emily, hello.
Wow, this is amazing.
Hi, Emily. You seem to have her on mute, though, don't you?
She has to unmute herself.
You have to unmute yourself, I think, Emily. Or do we unmute her, dear?
We all have to unmute ourselves.
You just need to unmute yourself. Okay, well, we're going to try Emily Springer, a singer and a trumpet player.
Oh.
And you certainly met her.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me? I'm great. Okay, so I do have a question. I'm gonna try and phrase it in the best way that I can. So I think we definitely talked about how important accompaniment is between like a vocalist and their band. And I think something that's really difficult for young vocalists is finding someone you're comfortable with, to play with and just like creating that connection. So can you guys talk a little bit about that comfortability that you need to have? Because I feel like it's very vulnerable as a singer, like out in front of a band, and sometimes it can be hard to connect in that way. So can you just talk a little bit about how you find the people that you really like playing with, and what you look for?
Go, Cecile.
Oh no, I want to hear you.
Kind of like.
What I try to do whenever I put a band together is to let the musicians breathe. I want everyone to be comfortable. And one of the first things that I try to have understood with whatever my band is for a particular night is that we are a family for that evening. And that the most important thing is that our line of communication stays open and that we listen to each other. So, and then once I get that out the way, I have, I try and find, whenever I put a band together, the person that I feel the most comfortable with, musically and as a human being. And then that is the person that I will tend to gravitate to. Mm-hmm. And that is the person that then can eventually become, because of the relationship that I will develop with that person, they can become the spokesperson for me in a musical context when I need to explain something musically, because I create a relationship with the individual and then I'm able to converse with them, and then I'm able to see that they are able to translate what I'm trying to get across to the band. But also because my band is everybody is equal. Everyone is equal. Everyone has a say. So someone else can hear me. Now I have a trio right now, and my musical director is the pianist, and the pianist is Carmen Staff. And then I have a young bass player. His name is Tabari Lake. And then I have a young drummer whose name is Kush Abadi. And when Kush isn't available, I have a baby. I call him a baby because he just turned 22. He's a baby. And that's Tyson Jackson. But what I've tried to do with each of these musicians is to establish, oh, I'm so sorry, a relationship with them. I'm going to get up for a second while I talk. I can't let this ring, y'all. There. So I try and establish something hold on.
Your living room after all. I love this.
I don't know how to get that off. But at any rate, I just try and establish a relationship with each musician so that if somebody's out, the other one knows how to come in and take over. And I have found that it is really good that I allow the musicians to handle a situation instead of me coming in as the boss, because I think that they can, my musicians, whoever has worked with me the longest, is able to say to the newer musicians in the band what it is that I like, how it is that I like things. So instead of me being rigid and just having one person, and if then one person isn't there, then I got to find somebody to replace them. Anybody can step up and run the show. Yeah. And that's what happens on different occasions.
Well, you know what, Emily, good hugs. We stay
yes
safe.
Emily, and thank you for my text.
Dee Dee, we have some beautiful pictures with you and Emily. I want to open up another mic. Lynn, hi, you have been waving your hand for a moment. We're gonna open up Lynn, and I hope we're gonna hear from you. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, good evening, ladies. Can you hear me clearly?
A little louder, Lynn.
Is this better?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It is.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lynette Bishalti. I'm from St. Thomas, and I'm a little geeked out to be able to speak to all three of you. It's very exciting. But my questions to you all, what can someone who does not have vocal training do to develop their jazz chops on their own, even though they're like looking for a teacher but they're not able to? And how do I get the opportunity to study / be mentored by you all?
I
like that second question.
Ladies, if I could answer the end, you know how you study and you're mentored by these women? You listen to them. You go to their show, you watch them, you study them. And that's really the truth, you know. You just sit at the feet of great singers, and there's so much to learn with that. You know, but you guys, I'd love you to answer, you know, when you're trying to get started, and when you're just trying, we've all been there, right? And I'm not, just how do you do that? And how do you get started? Just that, how do you get started, you guys? Do you get started in your shower? Do you get started by playing along and singing along? How do you start?
I'm disappearing. Did you see that? I just
you come back here, honey. Dee Dee, where is our damn it doll right now?
Here. The thing is,
yes,
and I'm going to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Not everyone can sing. And if you're not born with it, if something in your DNA, in your genetic makeup has not predisposed you to sing, leave it alone. That's my humble opinion. After, all these years, I have met and I have done master classes with young people who want to sing, who have a nice voice, but could never hold a concert. Never. Yeah. They could never perform and be in front of people because they don't have that instrument. And I politely say to them, baby, I hope there's something else that you want to do. This is something that you would like to do.
Okay, Cecile, are you getting a different answer ready?
No, what do you have to say, Cecile?
But Dee Dee, you are making the point, though, about commanding an audience and being...
No, I'm trying to make the point about whether a person has the ability to sing or not.
What I will say is,
yes,
that reminds me of my mother. You sound just like my mother.
Mary Sherry.
But Cecile, you answer the question when you have it in your heart and you have the passion, but you don't know the path. And that's what Jazz House Kids is. I'm looking at some of these names on here, Nathan Farrell and other students that are on here. I know they came to Jazz House and there was a path for them to walk down. There were teachers and mentors for them to walk down and get good and find themselves. This lady is asking the question, when you don't have that, what are you doing?
Well, I think to go to your point of listening, I mean, you listen to as much music as much of what you love with a fury and a passion that makes it feel like time stops. And like you're able to listen to the same thing over and over again for 3 months straight. I mean, for me, it's like that kind of passion is also something that you really have to have. You have to be compelled to do it. And if you're compelled, you don't need much other than whatever you have at your disposal. If you're compelled, you'll just listen to as much as you can. Work with instrumentalists if there are no vocalists. I mean, my first teacher and biggest influence was a clarinet player, and he was my teacher for 4 years. And I was in France. I didn't have anybody to work with that was singing in English, other than my fellow students in a really small town in France where everybody spoke French. And it was we just listened to stuff all the time. And I mean...
And you sing.
Yeah, and you pursue it violently. You pursue your passion and you pursue your curiosity. And also, you know, I will say some people, I don't know if this is, I think probably Dee Dee, you would agree with me that some people don't have great voices, but can really sing, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And some people have great voices and can't really, they have a great tone, they have a great voice, but there's just not, it's a whole thing. But I also fundamentally believe in pursuing crafts, and pursuing art, whether or not that becomes your profession. I mean, some of my favorite poets and artists were people with day jobs who never made it to become professional artists or musicians, and there's a place for them too, and they were highly influential to culture and art in general. So I just think pursue it passionately, violently, with a diligence and a compulsion that is beyond you, and eventually you'll find like-minded people. And thank goodness you have the internet, so you can find like-minded people today a lot easier.
Let me ask, when Christian, you showed up, were you going to add to that?
Yeah, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick, because
you do live here.
I think that, thank you. I think there's an answer that can really address what both Dee Dee and Cecile each said. And I think there's probably two examples I can think of. One is Quincy Jones. Now, everybody knows Quincy Jones as this legendary producer. He produced everybody from Michael Jackson to James Ingram to Count Basie. He worked with every last single legend, Frank Sinatra to Michael Jackson, everybody you could possibly think of. But many people forget that Quincy Jones first came into this business as a trumpet player. Quincy Jones played trumpet in Lionel Hampton's big band, right? But he wanted to arrange, he wanted to compose, he wanted to orchestrate. That was his real passion. But he came into this business as a trumpet player. At some point, even Quincy Jones realized, as much passion and as much love I have for this trumpet, I can't play this. This is not my thing, right?
Yeah.
My passion, my real thing in life is arranging and composing and producing.
Right.
And even when, even in the middle of all that, he still tried to play a little bit of trumpet, but he realized, look, this is not my thing. The trumpet's not really my calling. And I also must give my own story. The only other passion I've ever had in my entire life has been pro football. I love pro football almost as much as I love music. And I spent most of my teen years and all of my 20s studying the history of pro football. But I knew no matter what football camp I went to, no matter how many highlight reels I would watch, I would never, ever be Jim Brown, right? Does that mean I would, not, I mean, first of all, music is a lot less painful than football. So at least my brains kicked in at one point to be like, look, keep your hands on that bass and get a couple of blisters as opposed to getting concussions, right?
Right.
My thing to you, whoever asked that question,
yes,
I can't see the person. Like Cecile said, you go into it with passion and you go into it violently. You go study as many people as you can, but do it because that's what you actually love. I find that sometimes
you're compelled.
Yeah, most of the time people want to get into singing, or I saw this this really beautiful master on masterclass.com. What's the actress's name? Oh gosh, she was in one of my favorite movies, Michael Douglas, the remake of Dial M for Murder.
What?
Okay.
Anyway.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, I'm going to bring out...
Just make sure
someone else in?
You do it because you love it, not because you want to get dapped.
That's it.
But here's the thing. Wait a minute. Before we close that off.
Wait a minute. I want to bring in another question.
Let the queen.
Let the queen speak. Yes.
No. I just wanted to. I think we should end this. So but the thing is, and where I just feel that we have to also learn how to be honest with ourselves, because I don't know if this person has a good voice. I don't know if this person is looking to make this a career. I don't know if this person just wants to do it just because they love to do it and it's the joy.
Right.
So the thing that I always try to say to young people is you have to have a dedication. This is a passion. This music is a passion. As Cecile was saying, as Christian was saying, it is a passion. If you don't have the perseverance to stand up, to be ridiculed, to be brought down for this thing that you think you want to do, then you can't do it.
Yes.
You've got to have that kind of strength and that kind of conviction, because what you see, what they see with Cecile and her success, what they see with me over the years and my success, that is because we have a dedication to this craft.
Hello.
That is because we made a decision that this was it. And that is because that we then applied ourselves, but it is also because we had a gift.
Do you know what let me tell you what Betty said, and then I want to open it up to Nathan next. Betty said, you have to be prepared to sleep under your piano.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you have to be prepared to do whatever it takes. If that means your room is only big enough for your piano, you will sleep under your piano. And that's who she was as an artist. But I tell anybody, you follow your passion and you will get out of it what you put into it.
This is true.
And if you don't put in the work of it, you won't get out what you want. Let's open it up for Nathan Farrell. Nathan, it is so good to see you. This young man is an incredible saxophonist. He's a singer. He is now at Columbia in his second or third or fourth year. Talented. I've seen him. He's a poet. You don't know I know all of that about him, but I've kind of admired this young man because I really have known that he's a young man who has many talents.
Oh my goodness, Melissa, thank you so much.
I know. Hi there, dear.
Hello.
Hi,
how are all of you?
Hi. Dee Dee, you
Hi,
met
Nathan.
as well. All right, what's your question, dearest?
Hello. So I guess first thing is thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to speak to all of you. It's good to talk to you again, Melissa. I can't wait to see you next, whenever that may be.
We're seeing each other now.
What happened?
We're seeing each other now.
Yes. Oh wait, can you see me or no?
Well, no, but
we can't see you.
I'm feeling you. Go right ahead.
Feeling you too. Yeah. So my question is, how do you go about assembling your repertoire? So yes, you want to pick songs that speak to you, that you connect to, so you can connect to the people that you're performing for. But what do you specifically connect to in a song, in a composer that you select for your repertoire, albums, or live performances?
Preparing
I love that question.
Well, we're gonna give it to
you. An answer.
That answer it. My glasses.
My biggest joy is choosing and finding repertoire from the beginning. That's been my driving force, is just finding songs. I love it. And I think what I look for in a song is a left turn, a surprise, usually a surprise in the story, sometimes a surprise in the harmony, but always something where it just goes down a different path. I mean, one of the examples that I think of off the top of my hands is this song called Mad About the Boy, which is this torch song. It's sad, it's epic, it's love, it's heartbreak. And then during the bridge, she talks about having to pay her rent. And I love that kind of rub. I'm always looking for a rub. I love self-deprecating songs. I like humorous songs. I don't know. I really like that left turn.
So with that, let me hang on 1 second because I'm going to just jump in there because there is a question, Nathan, that says, Cecile, this is from Wendy Gilbert Simon. And she said, Cecile, you've sung Wild Women Don't Have the Blues, and you may think it belongs to Ida Cox, but she did it in 28 and 61 as the godmother giving wisdom to the young ones. But your version is radically different. What attracted you to this song? And that kind of goes to what Nathan's getting to. What attracted, and now I guess we know, it must have had a twist. So what was that twist for you?
The twist is in the title. Wild Women Don't Have the Blues. I mean, right there, the title alone, I want to sing that song.
You want to sing.
And when I hear it, you know, it starts, you hear these women talking about their monkey men. I mean, you want to sing that. And then I'm getting excited. See, I need to calm down. But
don't at all.
For me, it's just, I mean, it's a song that that sort of proudly says, I'm wild. I have multiple lovers. I don't pine and cry over one man. I get drunk. I mean, this is aspirational for me. I'm not like that.
Honey,
I cry. I focus on one person. I cry, and I'm, so I love a song where it's like, no, I have a man for the day, a man for the night. I kick him out if he treats me wrong. I love that. So I heard it and I thought, this is something for me. I'm hearing people screaming next door because they heard me say
that. Nathan, do you have another part for her?
Another part?
Was that your main question?
Oh, yes, that was the main question. But also, Cecile, I adore you and all your music. I saw you at the Vanguard. Beautiful performance.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh, my goodness. Such good home training at the Jazz House. All right. We are going to open it. Can we get another question in here? Can I? Because I see another wave. Molly, we're going to ask Emily Ertl. I want to go back to you one more time and see if you are on. Emily, let's try it one more time. Emily.
Hello, can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yes.
Okay, great. First of all, I want to say that I'm really happy to get the opportunity to speak to all of you.
She's a great singer and a very, 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 very talented guitarist that you will be seeing and hearing.
Is that right?
And I'm not just saying this because they went to Jazz House and all. These are truly talented young people who are putting in the time and studying this music. And she's right there with Nathan and Emily, the other Emily, and so many others. So Emily, good to see you. I hope you are safe and sheltering.
Stop it. Oh my God, I'm blushing. So my first question is for all of you, and I have one second question for Cecile specifically. But quickly, I heard a touch of yodeling in some of the, almost like a yodel type sound in some of the scatting that I was hearing today, especially on I think it was the Tonight Show recording. And I wanted to know if any of you have ideas about the origins of that yodel kind of sound in jazz music.
Oh, no, I don't. And our greatest yodeler was Leon Thomas. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Leon Thomas could yodel, and I would sit on buses and in vans with him and beg and plead him to teach me how he did it. And his response to me was always, Dee Dee, you got to find your own thing. This is mine. You got to find your own. He would never share. So yeah, I don't, I mean, yodeling, I mean, it's Swiss, right? It's, I mean, I don't know the origins of yodeling. And that it was brought into music. Before I heard Leon Thomas do it, I had never heard anyone try and put yodeling in. Since Leon, then I've heard people try and put a little yodel in.
Well,
but I don't know where it comes from.
Emily, check him out if you have not. He is one of the originators of the scat and his unique style. So you want to check him out. Do you have another question for us?
Yes, I do. And I've already written the Leon Thomas down. I've got that.
I love that.
So Cecile, I wanted to ask you about Ogress because I was looking into you a lot earlier today and earlier this week. I love your music already, but I didn't really know too much about that project, and I've been kind of like, I don't know. I spent almost an hour trying to look into it and there's no recordings up, but I know that you did record it so far a little bit. And also, I don't know if you said something about doing animation. I don't know if that was a joke, but I would love to see that be integrated into. Yeah.
Me too. The plan is to make a feature-length animated movie out of this story, which is a story that I wrote. It's a musical fairy tale, I would say, where I sing all the characters. There's about 5-6 characters, and I'm the narrator, and I sing through all the different characters. And it's about an ogress, so a female ogre who lives in the woods and who constantly, I mean, she's sort of an homage in part to the Hottentot Venus, who was the South African woman who was taken to Europe and shown as a sort of fetishistic object because of her body and her shape. And they kept her body after she died in museums on display until 1975 or 77. Wow. And so the story is about this woman in the woods, this ogress in the woods who sort of eats anyone who wants to attempt to possess her. And there are birds, and there are nature is a big part of it, and I wrote all the music and lyrics and story, and then I had it arranged by Darcy James Argue for a 13-piece orchestra with string quartet and marimba, vibraphone, banjo. Banjo plays a big part in it, and organ and all kinds of stuff. But I'm trying to make it into an animated feature-length film, which is proving very difficult because it requires a lot of work and a lot of finances. And if we do get this done, it would be the first feature-length animated film by a woman of color. Wow. Which is something that is really exciting to me. And it's also really exciting to me to be able to do some illustration. That's one of my passions, is illustration and visual art. And so this would be the way for me to mix those two things together. Thank you for asking about it.
Thank you. I'll be on the lookout for that.
We'll be on the lookout. You
Absolutely.
know, some of the greatest pictures have taken decades or whatever. I want to just, there's a couple of more questions. You know, I'm all over with these questions, but Emily, thank you. Stay safe with your family. And I really, this is your young lady you are going to hear. From Kate Baker, an amazing vocal coach and singer. I give a lot to this woman who helps me greatly. And also the wife of the late, great Vic Churis. And I want to give a couple of questions, and I am really interested in the answers. Have you been technically trained? And how do you, so it's always wonderful to know, where, have you been trained? Do you train now? And then how do you keep your voice on the road? I know all the singers out there want to know that question. How do you keep your voice on the road? And do you have any tips? Okay, so are you technically trained? Do you train now? And how do you keep the voice on the road? Dee Dee,
I am not technically trained, and I think the world knows that now. I am not technically trained.
Dee Dee,
I am that old, I'm that dinosaur group. I came along when there were many musicians that I admired who were self-taught. And yes. That was a thing in the 60s, in the 50s when I was a little girl, and then in the 60s when I was a teenager, and then in the 70s. And so those of us who had no formal training, we didn't feel any kind of shame.
Right.
And, everyone had their own devices that they utilized. Mine was my ears. I have a facility to hear and to digest a song and to be able to spit it out. Now, not quite as fast, but I was one of those people that could hear a song one time and I could sing it back to you when I was young. Okay, so I had no formal training, all that to say.
But what formal training do you need then to sit, at the feet for 4 years of, one of the greatest bands? That's it.
Formal training. Yeah.
Frankly,
So that was
half of the formal training today is because there is no Art Blakey formal training. Exactly. There is no formal training in some of these. So what I'm trying to say is
you're touching on that. So that's the reason, Melissa, why it is important for people who are my age and who have been out here and who have had all of these experiences to turn around and try and share that with the young kids so that these young kids will know what it's about. Like I say, I'm a dinosaur. I know, but seriously, Al Jarreau and I called ourselves dinosaurs. So, but it's because, we came along at a time that it was beautiful. Music was beautiful and we were embraced. Listen, I didn't say this, but Carmen used to always say, baby, come and hear me, come and sit in. Just come and sit in. And she would say it like that, come and sit in.
Come and sit in.
Like almost like a demand. I'm gonna be in Chicago, you're gonna be in Chicago. I'm gonna be at whatever, Mr. Kelly's, come and sit in.
Yes. That's beautiful.
We don't have that. We don't have that anymore. No. We don't have that fraternity, that sorority that existed when I came out. So I'm trying to now bring that back.
That's right, Dee Dee.
Because if we don't provide a platform for young people to be heard, to be seen, that's our future.
I will say I had that experience with you, Dee Dee, actually from the beginning. From the beginning, you have, we haven't done it a lot, but every experience that I've had, either singing for you back in 2010 at the Monk competition, but then also shortly thereafter doing I don't remember what we did. We did Apollo, and it was that was training. That was a great moment of training, and it's those experiences are too few and far between today. I totally agree, and for me, to have
but
that
you trained though, Cecile, right? You trained.
You are right.
Classically, sure, but
okay.
Sure. I wanted to be an opera singer.
You did.
But you can play piano?
Some classical piano. I started classical piano when I was 4, and I was forced to continue until I was 18 by my mother.
And
okay, Mama.
In the other room, she wrapped her hands with the, tap, 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 keep playing. But I want to just get to see what you're also talking about is the school of those people. I look at Norman, who had to get in a car and drive across the country to get to his next gig. All those musicians who could not sleep in the hotels where they were playing.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, that's what's coming out in this. And if that the life that you lead is, and Christian kind of talks about this. Many of the musicians we revere had tough lives. Tough lives.
This is true.
And I looked at what Winton wrote about his father. It was a beautiful piece that he wrote about his father, Ellis Marsalis, passing away. This rest in peace. And just about, the road you go down, the road jazz musicians. I see it with our faculty, the road they go down. They are going to be an artist at all costs. It doesn't matter if that means they got to do 10 different things and play in the church and do the lessons and play in the so-and-so, be an educator. They are a musician and an artist. And for all of those out there, that is a noble path. And that is the path of, when times like this, no one cares about anybody else, politicians and so-and-so. They care about the artists, because the artists are the ones who I think at the end of the day are the saviors and who tell our stories. So whether or not you get that in or out of the classroom, I just think there's so much value, Dee Dee, to the road you went down, the people you have played, and what you have watched. And that's why Cecile and I are here and others, because the further we get away from that, the further we get away from the essence of what this journey. So, you know, all to you. But Cecile, tell us about kind of your training and how do you keep that voice sounding, you know, so beautiful.
You're sweet. My training was wanting to be a classical singer. Maybe I was 13. I wanted to sing opera, and so I started taking lessons and turned to jazz later when I was about 18. I would say most of my initial feeling while doing those, when I was juggling the two things, was that I certainly did not want to sound like a classical singer singing jazz. And I always felt that jazz or folkloric music in general was always a music that came more from the spoken voice, that was more heterogeneous. The voice could be very thick at the bottom and very thin and laser-like at the top. It didn't matter. Whereas in classical lessons, I was taught that everything had to be the same from bottom to top. And that was always difficult for me. But towards the end of my first year in music school in France, I started studying Baroque voice, and I really fell in love with that. And I wish that I could continue. And I sometimes dip a toe back in. I'm taking lute lessons now, just so that I can have access to that music, because it is music that I'm extremely passionate about, and that actually reminds me of jazz in a lot of ways, and in its rhythm and its improvisation. And as for what I do now in terms of training, I'm kind of half-ass, for lack of a better word. I don't do any vocal exercises. I know I probably should. I drink milk before the gig. I mean, I don't drink milk before the gig, but you know, I don't avoid dairy. I don't do any of the things that they say
that they all say we should do and shouldn't do.
Let me ask you, because and where we're gonna go, I'm gonna ask open it up for one more question, and then you guys, all good things must come to an end. Although I must tell you, you guys have washed away the blues, and there have been a lot of blues. So I love you both. But I want to, so we're going to ask another, we're going to open up there is a woman, she is a singer, and she is on the front lines, and we're going to open up to her in a moment. But I've got to ask you, I look at your art, and I wonder where your visual art and your singing, you think of Miles and you Tony Bennett and his visual art. I mean, you know, there are some serious cats who have been great artists, both visual artists and performers. And I wonder how you see the two, because I almost wonder if it's not like this for you, you know, really interwoven.
I feel like I have more freedom in my visual art and in my illustration than I do in my singing.
Really?
Particularly because no one is expecting me to do anything. I'm not getting paid for it. So I'm like a kid, like just doodling. I'm doing whatever I want. And it doesn't have that pressure. But I'm a visual person. I mean, I think Dee Dee, you're a very visual person too.
I'm visual in another way, but I have a question.
Yeah.
And my question to you, Cecile, is how, maybe I'm throwing this off a little bit, Melissa, but I think it's something that would be interesting for people to know. How, Cecile, have you been able to deal with all of the success that you have had since your first album came out, which really kind of was like, because you waited, you did that thing, you waited to put it out, but you've had tremendous success
for your age. So how are you able to maintain an equilibrium and not let it get in the way of the other things that you want to do?
Thank you. I feel that I've been very lucky. So I definitely try and remember that, but I also I avoid any anything that's written about me. I avoid. I hate seeing an article where I'm mentioned. I hate seeing myself interviewed. I hate I don't want to. In my daily life, I am unaware of anything that's going on.
Sure.
And I'm just so. I mean, I'm just first and foremost, I'm a fan of music and art, and I have these people that I admire so much, and that I strive to be like or to honor. And so I just don't. I just try to not get into that. I mean, it's sometimes detrimental. And also, I think I have a very grounding family in the best way. I mean, they, and I have grounding friends. Some of the friendships that I have, some of my closest friends are not musicians, are people I've known before I started doing music, or they're doing something, or people I've met in other fields and other realms, and that they're not fans. They don't like what, they don't care about what I do. And it helps for me to have my immediate environment be just me feeling like I'm just a student. And I really still feel that way. Like I'm just a student and I don't know anything. I truly, honestly feel that way.
Wow. Okay.
Well, Dizzy really late in his life, said that he was still a student of this music. And all of the greats, what is it? The more you learn, the more you know you got to learn.
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to have to open it up for one more question. I want to say, there is Jeff Clapp. Jeff and I used to play as a drummer. I thought he was in Louisiana. It is good to see you out there. Janet Shapiro, one of our new board members. And Janet, you guys, and her husband, Phil, have been putting instruments in the hands of kids for 10 years in underserved school districts. I mean, we are serious at Jazz House about what we do. I just really want to, I don't know if she's still on, I want to thank her. And Margaret Lorenzi, I miss this lady lots. Her son is a fantastic alto player at Princeton right now, and Margaret sat on my board for a long time. Terry Woodard has been on our board chair. You guys, to be an organization dedicated to jazz for 18 years, 365 days a year, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears has gone into this. It has not been my I have not carried this along. These people that I am mentioning, those students that you have heard, I love you all. Stay safe. It's good. I hope you're still on. So I'm going to take us over to one last person, and I'm going to say, you heard her daughter a little bit, a guitarist and a singer, Ella Brown, and this is her mother. Her mother is a singer. What I love at the Jazz House, her husband is a drummer. The mom is a singer, and her daughter, of course. But in addition, she is like the majority of musicians. She has another job, and she does it with gusto and passion, and she never has left this music. But right now, she is on the front line. She is a nurse. Check in. Do you have masks? I've got some for you. They just came in, Wendy. But I love her dearly. She never hesitates to volunteer, but on the front lines. But she is a singer, and her husband's a drummer. So I hope she's still around. Wendy, are you there? Did you unmute her, honey? Wendy?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Wendy.
Oh, Melissa. Thank you so much. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, Wendy.
My goodness gracious.
Ella, I know you're over there.
Yes.
We appreciate the work you are doing. We know we are seeing the battle you are fighting and your fellow peers.
Fellow healthcare workers out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Wendy.
It's a battle and it's crazy.
It's a battle and it's crazy, but for
wash your hands,
hours,
wear your mask, and stay in place. That's all.
Yes,
Wendy, I'm
Thank you,
serious.
Wendy.
I got a lot of them over here for you. I'm gonna be finding a way to deliver them for you. Go ahead, Wendy. It's good to see you.
So Ella has the questions here. She's the questioner.
Hi, Ella.
Hi. I just want to say I admire you all. I just wanted to ask, how do you, like, you're all great storytellers. How do you communicate with the audience so well and, like, you know, get the story across so well to the point that you're trying to make when you
deal with?
I think Ella, it's just about coming from an honest place. If you come from an honest place in your spirit, in your soul, when you're singing a song, when you're telling the story, then it's going to touch people. And I think that's why it's really important, whether you are an instrumentalist or a vocalist, to pick melodies that speak to you. If you are a vocalist and then you are going to require a lyric, pick a story that speaks to you. And then just allow yourself the freedom to express what you are truly feeling deep inside of you. That's it. That's it. So it's almost like, I think, Melissa, you and Cecile would agree, it's like laying yourself open bare. You are completely exposed. You are stripped of your clothes. You are there. It's just you and the words and the music and the connection that you can make with the people that are sitting with you. And that's it. There's no secret. There's no secret.
I have one more question for Cecile. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a mom. I'm taking Ella on college tours. And you studied in France. And one of Ella's biggest dreams is to study in Europe.
Oh, wow.
So, question, how did you go about it? And how did you like studying abroad? What did it bring to you, especially with jazz? Like, how did it connect? How did you make studying in France and jazz connect? Because it's an American thing and you brought it, you know, it goes to Europe. They love it there, but how did you do that?
I doubt I would have studied jazz if I had stayed in the US. I started studying jazz in France because the people in France loved it so much, and it was just in the school that I went to. My first language is French. My mom is French. My dad is Haitian. So going there was just kind of something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be there. I had been going to France every year. My grandma still lives there. So my whole maternal side of the family is over there. So it was a sort of a natural choice. And I also wanted to take a year off, not off, because I still went to like a political science prep school and I went to music conservatory, but I wanted to take a year in France before going to a university in the US. I highly recommend it. It was an incredible experience. I know Dee Dee lived in France, so Dee Dee can speak to that too. I think it just opens you up, and as a singer, it's really great to get another language going if you can, because I believe that it does something physically to the way that you create sounds. Like you just learn how to do different things with your face. And it just opens you up to another culture. I highly recommend it. Even just spending a year. I mean, I don't know in what capacity. I had a pretty cheap education over there as well. So I recommend it, absolutely. Yeah.
Let her go. Let her go.
Which school did you go to?
I went to the Conservatoire Darius Milhaud in Aix-en-Provence. And then I also went to law school in Grenoble.
Wow.
It's called University Pierre Mendès France. And so, I did those for 4 years.
But you know, it's interesting because Dee Dee, you lived in France for how many years, Dee Dee?
24.
24 years.
24
Dee Dee,
years.
why don't you talk about that experience? Because
Well,
I give you as French.
I can say, I can support what Cecile is saying because education is looked at in a different manner outside of the United States. And it is something that is respected and that is appreciated. And the more intellect that you have, the better appreciated and respected you are. It is all about the intellect once you get outside of our country. And I mean, but that's the truth. It is the truth. So I think if you want to allow your child to go outside of this country and experience the rest of the world, I would say, please allow her to do it. If you all can afford it financially, please allow her to do it. All my kids went, well, my daughters, they were dragged to France. Talani only stayed 2 years. Talani is my oldest daughter and she's now my manager, but she still speaks French today. Wow. All my kids are trilingual. So when you allow your child to go outside of the United States, you allow them to open their minds in a way that they will not be opened if they stay closed in our society, which is ill right now. So I would suggest that she do it, and the sooner she does it, the better. Well, we have this coronavirus, but once this gets cleared up, I would say allow her.
It will end.
Please, you know, I there are so many questions that we've been asked. We will have to come back. I want to kind of wrap it up now and just say, we're going to bring in a performance, the top, please. We are going to bring in a performance that I think is so apropos for right now. I know that there are heavy, heavy times, and I think that we are waking up every day and peeling this onion. And at first you thought it was just about your job that might not be happening. And then, you know, somebody that I know in my own community, they've been called back to work, but somebody in their family is at risk. Do they go back to work? Please put it on hold. Do they go back to work, or do they, put them at risk? There's a lot of really tough decisions. It's hard to get food right now. So I say to you that truly, ladies, you have been a bright light tonight, and I think you have helped wash away the blues for a few hours, because we don't know how long this will last, but we will not all be sitting together in pews at Easter. We're going to be here a while.
No, we're not.
These kinds of things.
Can I say something, Melissa?
So we're gonna leave with a high priest.
Let me just say something, Melissa.
Right ahead. Yes, speak up.
You are so busy speaking about everyone else. You have not at all allowed us to compliment you.
Yes.
And congratulate you. I remember when this Jazz House Kids was an idea. And here we are 18 years later, and look what you have done, my darling. Look at all those babies that you have helped go out into the world and slay the music giants. Do you know what I'm saying? Look at what you have done, Melissa. Look at what you and Christian have created with Jazz House Kids, with the Montclair Jazz Festival, my darling. So I don't know. I mean, we're on your platform. We're on the Jazz House Kids platform, but I don't know if people who are listening in really know what this woman, who is our curator, has done.
Yeah.
And she put her career aside to build this vision that she had. She let her career take a back seat to this. So I laud you, my darling. I laud you. Bravo, Melissa.
Yeah.
Bravo. Bravo for all these children that you have touched. Bravo to have allowed those of us who are artists and who love you to have had that experience. I love them Chica girls. I just love everything that you're doing. And when I'm in New York, I run into your old students.
I know.
They come and see me.
They're all over.
And they're fabulous.
They are all over.
And they're everywhere, Melissa. You've done such a beautiful job, my darling.
Thank you.
So you must be lauded. Thank you.
Thank you. Really?
Thank you. Now we can, now
we can say thank you very much. You know, it's been a journey, but when something happened to me, there was a switch, that I love what I'm doing today. Today we sent out gift packages today to families who are struggling. And
yes.
In their mailbox, they are going to get a credit card so they can buy groceries.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel more creative today than ever before because we are making connections. And the faculty and Gallo and so many people, Ted, who is the curator, really true curator of these programs, and so many of the faculty and our staff. Like, I never thought I would have this much fullness in my heart for really what we're doing. And so thank you for being a part of it. And I think we're going to end this with a woman whose iconic song was Here's to Life. We're going to just hear from her for a moment, I think, talking about herself, because we were trying to tee it up earlier, and then end, because I think this moment, and you know what, Cecile and Dee Dee, I think everybody who's listening and who will be listening, would you mind just giving me a moment, Jesse James?
Jesse's getting like Daisy.
Jesse's getting like, this is Jesse James and Ella Fitzgerald is over there. But what I notice is that these times make you hear different things in the music.
Yes.
We hear different
music.
So check out what she has to say. Remember, we started the top of the evening talking about who is a jazz singer? What does it mean to be a jazz singer? Let's hear from Shirley, and then we're going to go on to the most iconic piece. I love you both. Thank you so much. And on this, Sullivan, where the heck has he been? Sullivan Fortner, where was that list? I just need to say a shout out. Abby Aska, I know your partner over there is ailing. Just lots of love. And Chris and Susan Gifford. But Sullivan Fortner, where is he? Where is he?
Sullivan Fortner, come on.
Where are you? We know you, but there. We know you are there.
There you are.
You are magical too.
Oh, what I'm magical for? What I did?
Whatever. For your
smile, for being you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You've been watching us?
I've been watching y'all. Y'all are funny. I like y'all.
All right.
I like
y'all. So I
love you, Dee.
I love you, Sullivan.
My producer of this show, Ted Chubb, is going to tell me, like singers, you spoke too much.
Okay, fine.
So we are going to get out.
Play it.
Dee Dee, I love you.
I love you, Melissa. I
love you, Melissa.
I love you, Sullivan.
All right, everyone. And thank you. Donate if you can. And we love you. And see you next week we're going to talk about the favorite rhythm section plays their rhythm section. And we will have Jeff Tane Watts.
Woo.
We'll have Mark Whitfield. And
Mark owes me a date.
And we know we'll have Christian. And we will have,
you sure?
And we will have
we're supposed to hang out.
So your favorite rhythm section plays their favorite rhythm section. But let's just go out on the Queen speaking the true words. Here to life.
I don't think I'm a jazz singer. Just sing what I feel. How the time just flies. I have not lived everything I sing. No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. For I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you've got. I had my fun, I drank my fill. And even though I'm satisfied, I'm hungry still to see what's down another road beyond the hill, and do it all again. So here's to life. Every dream it brings. So here's to life. To dreamers and their dreams. Funny how the time just flies. How love can go from warm hellos to sad goodbyes, to leave you with a memory you've memorized, to keep your winters warm. Cause there's no yes in yesterday, and who knows what tomorrow brings, what takes away. As long as I'm still in the game, I want to play for laughs, for life, for love. So here's to life. And every joy it brings. So here's to life. To dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered, and all that's good get better. Here's to life. Here's to love. Here's to you. gets good, get better. Here's to life. Here's to love. Here's to you.
Oh. Thank you.
Next week,
beautiful.
Your rhythm section picks their rhythm section.
Love you guys.
Good night. Love you.
Good night. Thank you.
Two hearts stop beating. You're both too breathless to speak. Love smiles her greeting. Then the dream that has seen you